I should have known the moment he looked at me that nothing in my life would ever be simple again. Because Jake Turner, the small-town mechanic with grease on his hands and danger in his smile, was the last person I should have fallen for. My name is Maya Bennett, city girl, chronic overthinker, and a professional at pretending everything's perfectly fine even when my entire world feels like it's collapsing. That summer, though, I couldn't pretend anymore. Everything in my life had fallen apart at once. My job was suffocating me, my social life was crumbling, and the person I thought I loved didn't love me back. My mother took one look at me, really looked, and decided I needed something drastic. "Go to Willow Creek," she'd said, squeezing my wrist. "Just for a while. Just to breathe." Breathe? In a small town where the newest excitement was a bake sale? I didn't even know how to process that. But the exhaustion in my chest made arguing impossible. So I packed up my clothes, my laptop, my hopes that this would be temporary, and drove 4 hours into the middle of nowhere. The moment I arrived, I hated it. I hated the silence, the one that felt too loud after a lifetime of sirens and traffic. I hated the slow pace, like the entire town had agreed to move in slow motion while staring at me as if I were some strange, city-bred animal they'd never seen before. I hated the dusty roads, the squeaky screen doors, the fact that every shop had an actual bell that chimed when you walked in. I felt exposed. Misplaced. Like someone dropped me into a life that didn't belong to me. But the universe wasn't done humiliating me. Because 2 days into my stay, my car, the last piece of my real life I had left, decided to break down right in the center of Main Street. In front of everyone. In front of a truck full of teenagers who laughed as they drove by. In front of the old man who pointed at my smoking hood and yelled, "That don't sound right," as if I hadn't already figured that out. I got out of the car, hands on my hips, pretending I wasn't seconds from crying. My heart thundered in embarrassment and frustration. Great. Perfect. Now I was the city girl causing traffic in a town that only had one main road to begin with. And that was when I heard it. A low, warm voice behind me. "You look like you're about to set that thing on fire." I spun around, ready to snap, ready to defend myself, ready to tell someone, anyone, that I absolutely did not need help. But the words died in my throat. Because standing in front of me was him. Jake Turner. And he didn't just look good. He looked like the universe had handcrafted him solely to ruin the rest of my life in the most inconvenient way possible. He stepped out of the garage just across from where my car had died. And for a second, I forgot how to breathe. The sun hit him in this golden way, lighting up the edges of his shoulders like a movie scene. His white t-shirt was smudged with oil, stretched a little across his chest and arms. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. And his eyes. God. Those eyes. Gray, stormy, intense, the kind of eyes that seem to see you and strip away everything fake you try to hide. For a moment, I just stared. Completely frozen. He walked toward me slowly, wiping his hands on a rag, watching me with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. The closer he got, the more I felt my pulse trip over itself. "You stuck?" he asked, a teasing smile tugging at his mouth. I swallowed hard, heat rising to my cheeks. What gave it away? The smoke or the fact that I looked like I want to scream? His smile deepened, and it hit me, dangerously, how good-looking he really was. Not city boy handsome. Not polished, perfect, planned. No. Jake Turner was rugged. Real. Effortless. The kind of handsome that doesn't try to impress because it doesn't have to. He bent slightly, peeking under my car's hood without touching anything. "Well," he said softly, "I can tell you one thing." "What?" I whispered, even though I wasn't sure why I whispered. He glanced up at me, not at the car, me. "She's in worse shape than you are." I blinked. "And what exactly is that supposed to mean?" He shrugged casually. "You look stressed." The car looks dead. My lips parted in disbelief. Did he seriously jest? But then he laughed, and something in my chest loosened just a bit. I'm kidding, he murmured, holding up both hands. Sort of. He stood upright, towering just a little over me, the sun at his back like he belonged here, something solid and permanent in the small town I couldn't seem to fit into. Let me take a proper look, he said. I'm Jake, by the way. As if I hadn't already guessed. As if every girl in this town didn't already know exactly who he was. I tried to sound composed. Maya. Maya, he repeated, slower, like he was trying the name on his tongue. Something about the way he said it made me feel seen. Exposed. And weirdly special. He nodded once. Pretty name. Why did my stomach flip? Why? He leaned under the hood again, this time with purpose, checking wires and parts with practiced ease. I watched him, crossing my arms, trying not to stare too obviously at the muscle in his forearm or the concentration in his brow. He smelled faintly of pine, motor oil, and something warm, something that made the air feel thicker, heavier. Your alternator's fried, he said finally. And your belt's loose. I frowned. Is that bad? For your car? He looked up at me again, eyes playful. Yeah. For me? Not really. I blinked. Excuse me? It means you'll be stuck in Willow Creek for a bit longer. His smile softened into something gentler. Which means I'll be seeing you again. My breath caught. I didn't know it then, not fully, but that moment. That slow smile. Those storm gray eyes. That was the exact second my entire life shifted without warning. Because Jake Turner wasn't just a mechanic. He was the beginning of something I wasn't ready for. Something I didn't understand yet. Something that would change me in ways I couldn't have imagined. And standing there on Main Street, my car smoking and my heart racing, I had no idea that the small town I hated so much was about to become the place I'd never forget. He gave me this slow, crooked half-smile, lazy and confident, the kind of smile that told me he already knew exactly what he was doing to me. You stuck, city girl? His voice was warm, a little teasing, and way too smooth for my already frayed nerves. I felt the heat crawl right up my neck, but I pretended I wasn't melting right there on Main Street. What gave it away? I said, folding my arms to hide the tremble in my hands. The smoking engine or the fact that I look lost? He chuckled, a soft, warm sound that wrapped around me like a hug I didn't ask for but somehow needed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't showy. It was the kind of laugh a man gives when he's genuinely amused, not trying to impress anyone. And just like that, something in my chest shifted. Not a flutter. Not a spark. Something deeper. Something I wasn't prepared for. He leaned into my car, lifting the hood with one strong arm while bracing the other against the frame. His shirt pulled just a little when he did, revealing a sliver of suntanned skin above his waistband. I quickly looked away before I embarrassed myself. He inspected the engine with practiced ease, leaning closer, eyes narrowed, brow furrowed in concentration. His presence felt too close, too warm, too much. I could smell motor oil, a hint of soap, and something undeniably him, earthy, clean, grounding. I can fix her, he murmured, tapping a part of the engine. Might take a bit. Might take a bit. Of course it would. Of course the universe was going to trap me in this small town longer. Be honest, I said, trying to sound practical, even though my pulse was doing dangerous things. Is the car okay? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked up slowly, not at the engine, but at me. His gaze held mine for a heartbeat too long, steady, quiet, curious, and I felt the world tilt just a little. She'll be fine, he said at last. Then, with the same softness, almost like a secret, he added. Not sure about you, though. My breath caught. He said it casually, like a joke. But there was something in his eyes, something knowing, that made my stomach twist. My heart actually skipped. Like, literally, skipped a beat. Why was I like this? Why was I reacting like a teenager with a crush? Why was my face warming? Why were my hands shaking? He was just a mechanic being friendly, right? I cleared my throat and tore my gaze away, pretending to study a random bird flying overhead. Anything to stop staring at him like I was hypnotized. Inside, though, my thoughts were spiraling. Calm down, Maya. He's just a guy. A very attractive guy with arms that could break the laws of physics, but still, just a guy. I forced a laugh. Well, that's comforting. He smirked. Didn't say it wasn't fixable. God. Why did even that make my chest tighten? I told myself it was nothing. Just a harmless crush. Just a passing moment. Just a mechanic being charming because that's what small-town people do. They're friendly, warm, unpredictable. But I knew, deep down, I was lying to myself. Because when I left the shop that day, something didn't feel temporary. Something felt unfinished. And that's when things got complicated. Because Jake Turner started showing up everywhere. Not in a creepy way. Not in a he's following me way. But in a small town where everyone crosses paths constantly, but somehow only he made my pulse jump way. The next morning, I went to the cafe on Maple Street, the one with mismatched chairs and the best cinnamon rolls on the planet. I was standing in line, staring at the chalkboard menu, when I heard his voice behind me. 2 days here and you've already found the best spot in town. I turned, and there he was. Leaning casually against the counter. Smudged hat. Grease on his forearm. That same half-smile, like he had secrets I wasn't ready for. I almost dropped my wallet. "What are you doing here?" I blurted. He lifted a brow. "Getting coffee." "What about you?" I rolled my eyes. "I mean, never mind." He laughed, again that soft, warm, devastating sound, and I felt this stupid smile forming on my lips before I could stop it. Later that afternoon, he was at the farmer's market. And the way he nodded at me across the tables of peaches and mason jars made my stomach twist in this ridiculous, traitorous way. The day after that, he was outside the rental house, fixing Mrs. Callahan's porch railing. He looked up as I passed, gave that same slow smile, and said, "You settling in?" My heart did the embarrassing stutter thing again. I kept telling myself I was overreacting. That this was just a small town. People run into each other. That's how it works. Nothing unusual about it. But every time he appeared, every time our eyes met, something inside me pulled tight, like a string being tugged from both ends. And the worst part? I didn't want that feeling to stop. I didn't want him to stop showing up. Didn't want him to stop smiling at me. Didn't want him to stop making my chest feel too full, too warm, too alive. Because every time I saw him, the town felt less lonely. And every time he looked at me, I felt something shift a little more. Something I wasn't ready to face. Something I wasn't sure I could handle. Something that was just beginning. At the cafe. At the farmer's market. Even outside the little blue rental house where I stayed. Everywhere I went, it was like he was already there, leaning against a wall, unloading a truck, walking across the street with that slow, steady confidence that made him impossible not to notice. But it wasn't just the fact that he showed up. It was the way he looked at me. That quiet, careful look, like he was studying me, trying to read me, trying to decide if he should say something or stay silent. There was a softness in his eyes each time, almost hesitant, like he didn't want to scare me off. But there was something else too, something warmer. Something that made my stomach twist in a way I tried very hard to ignore. Every time we crossed paths, my heart did that stupid skip thing. Every time our eyes met, something inside me tightened. And every time he smiled, even just a small one, the world felt a little less heavy. The spark between us felt dangerous. Not sweet. Not cute. Dangerous. Like walking barefoot across a thin sheet of glass. Every step thrilling and terrifying at the same time. I kept telling myself it was nothing. Just friendly small-town coincidence. But deep down, I knew it wasn't coincidence at all. I could feel the tension in the way he lingered a second longer than necessary when he held the door open for me at the cafe. The way he said morning, Maya, like he'd been waiting for me to show up. The way, when he left, he'd glance away almost shyly, like he didn't want me to see too much. That spark, it scared me. Because it felt like the beginning of something neither of us had agreed to but both of us felt. And then, the complication hit me like a slap to the face. Hard. Fast. Unavoidable. I was sitting in the kitchen of the rental house one evening, on a video call with my cousin Lily, my favorite cousin, the one I used to share secrets with under blankets and whisper about crushes with when we were 13. She was the only one besides my mom who checked on me consistently during my miserable stay in Willow Creek. "Have you met anyone weird over there yet?" she joked, sipping her iced tea. I laughed. Define weird? You know, like, small-town men who think manners are the same as flirting. A nervous flutter stirred in my stomach, and I almost dropped my phone. She kept talking, rambling about work, about her roommate, about a roommate's annoying boyfriend, when suddenly, out of nowhere, she said his name. Jake. Jake Turner. She didn't even say it dramatically. She just mentioned him offhand, like someone you used to know but didn't want to think about. "Ugh, that reminds me," she said. "If you see Jake Turner anywhere around there, do me a favor and run. Like sprint." I froze. "Jake Turner?" I repeated, my voice cracking on the last syllable. She groaned. "Yes. My ex. The one I never got over. The one who practically ruined Willow Creek for me." My heart dropped straight into my stomach. She kept talking, but her voice started fading around the edges, drowned out by the pounding in my ears. Her ex. Her unget-overable ex. The ex nobody in the family was allowed to mention. I felt my breath struggle in my chest. My throat tightened. Suddenly, the kitchen felt too small, the air too heavy. "If he ever tries to talk to you," Lily continued, shaking her head, "just ignore him. He's complicated. He'll pull you in without trying. Just trust me. Pull you in without trying." Yeah. Too late. Shame flushed hot across my skin. I wasn't doing anything with him, but God, was I already towing the line? Was I already letting something grow that shouldn't even exist? If I found out he was trying to get close to anyone in the family again, I swear, Lily sighed, I'd lose my mind. Lose her mind. Lose me. She didn't say it, but she didn't have to. In my family, loyalty wasn't optional. You don't break girl code. You don't go anywhere near the past love of someone you love. Especially someone they weren't over. Especially someone who broke them once. I ended the call with my smile glued in place, my stomach in knots, and panic crawling up my spine. Jake Turner wasn't just some mechanic with a nice smile. He wasn't just a charming small-town guy with storm gray eyes. He wasn't just a coincidence or a crush or an almost something. He was forbidden. Untouchable. Off-limits in neon letters. And if Lily ever found out I was spending time with him, I'd lose her. Not just her trust. Not just her respect. Her, completely. And I couldn't risk that. Not for a spark. Not for a crush. Not for a man I barely knew. So I tried. I really tried to stay away. I avoided the cafe for 2 days. I took side streets instead of Main Street. I ignored the garage every time I passed. I even wore sunglasses inside the farmer's market like some kind of undercover agent trying to avoid temptation. But the thing about Willow Creek is, it's small. Too small. And Jake? Jake was everywhere. Walking out of the hardware store with a tool belt hanging off one hip like some small-town version of a movie mechanic. Loading equipment into the back of his truck a few streets over, muscles flexing under a plain gray t-shirt that should have been illegal. Fixing a fence outside the bakery, sleeves rolled up, forehead smudged with dust he didn't bother wiping away. Laughing with the old men outside the barber shop, the same men who pretended they weren't nosy but absolutely were. Everywhere I went, I felt him before I saw him. That quiet presence. That careful look. That almost smile he gave like a secret we weren't supposed to share. And every single time, my resolve cracked a little more. Because staying away from Jake Turner wasn't just hard. It was impossible. One evening, I told myself I was just going for a walk. Fresh air. Evening breeze. The usual lies you tell yourself when your heart is doing something stupid and you're pretending it isn't. But somehow, magically, accidentally, totally not on purpose, my feet steered me right back to Main Street. Right back to his shop. Right back to that stupid car that had been fixed for days but had suddenly become the most interesting thing in my entire life. Just checking on it, I muttered to myself like the world's worst liar. And when I rounded the corner, there he was. Jake. Leaning against the doorframe with his arms folded, one ankle crossed over the other, like he had all the time in the world. The garage behind him was dark, the sun already dipping low, but he stood under the porch light, a silhouette I could have recognized from miles away. He didn't look surprised to see me. He looked expectant. Like he'd been waiting for me, waiting for this. His eyes lifted the moment he saw me, and his lips tugged into a slow, knowing curve. "You heading somewhere?" he asked, voice low and warm. I swallowed. Hard. Just walking. He tilted his head slightly, amusement flickering in his eyes. "You walk past my shop every day." Heat crawled up the back of my neck. "That's coincidence." Sure. He didn't buy a single word, and somehow that made my pulse quicken even more. Then he nodded toward the street. "Come on. I'll give you a ride home." It wasn't until he moved aside that I noticed the motorcycle beside him. Black. Clean. Quietly dangerous. My heartbeat did something ridiculous. "You're joking," I whispered. He shook his head. "What, scared? Of you?" I breathed without thinking. "A beat. Maybe." His eyes darkened, just a shade, but enough to make my stomach flip. He liked that. I could tell he liked that. And when he held out the helmet, when the porch light caught the faint dimple in his cheek, when he murmured, "Come on, city girl," in that lazy little drawl, something in me snapped. Not in a bad way. In the "I finally admit I'm in trouble" way. I stepped forward. And for a moment, just a moment, his breath hitched. He handed me the helmet, fingertips brushing mine. A spark. A jolt. A stupid, undeniable connection that made my lungs forget how to work. "Last chance to back out," he said softly. I shook my head. Not backing out. His smile widened, slow and devastating. "Didn't think you would." The next few minutes went by in pieces, his hands guiding me onto the motorcycle, his fingers brushing the small of my back to steady me, the heat of him when he climbed on in front of me. My knees were shaking, but not from fear. When he said, "Hold on," I did. More than I should have. My hands slid around his waist. His body was solid, warm, familiar in a way that shouldn't have been possible. I felt the breath he drew in when I tightened my grip. Then we moved. The engine came alive beneath us, vibrating through my ribs, stealing the breath from my throat. Wind wrapped around my face, cool and wild. The town lights blurred, the world falling away until it was just us, me, him, the road, and the kind of silence that said everything without needing any words. Every turn pressed me closer. Every curve made me cling tighter. Every second with him felt like something I knew I shouldn't want. But I did. God, I did. And when the ride slowed, when he finally stopped outside the rental house I was staying in, I realized something terrifying. I hated how much I loved it. How much I loved him. Or at least, how much I was starting to. And Jake? He knew. He knew before I did. The warm dusk light slid over the curve of his shoulders, the sharp line of his jaw, the faint shine of sweat on his forearm. The kind of light that made ordinary things look cinematic. His eyes lifted the second he heard me, like he could recognize my footsteps from half a block away. "You heading somewhere?" he asked, voice low, lazy, familiar. I froze for half a second, then forced a shrug. "Just walking," I lied, trying to sound casual, but my voice betrayed me with that tiny tremor at the end. He tilted his head, amused. "You walk past my shop every day." A flush climbed up my neck. God. Was I that obvious? I tried to laugh it off, but it came out soft and nervous. "Coincidence." "Sure," he said, and the smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth told me he didn't believe a word. "If you say so." There was a quiet stretch where he just looked at me, like he was studying every inch of my face, trying to read the things I didn't know how to hide. My fingers twisted in the hem of my shirt. Why did he always make me feel like I was standing on the edge of something I wasn't ready to admit? Then he pushed off the doorframe and nodded toward the curb. "Hop on. I'll give you a ride home." I blinked. What? He didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. My eyes followed the direction of his chin, straight to the motorcycle parked beside him. Black. Sleek. Dangerous. The kind of machine that looked like it belonged in a movie where the girl absolutely should not get on, but always did. My heartbeat kicked hard. "Are you serious?" He shrugged like it was no big deal. "Unless you're scared." The way he said it, soft challenge, teasing edge, made warmth bloom in my chest. He knew exactly what he was doing. Jake wasn't pushy, but he wasn't shy either. He had this confidence, this quiet boldness, like he trusted me to choose what I wanted. I pulled in a slow breath. Scared? Of what? He stepped closer. Just a little. Close enough that I could smell the faint scent of motor oil on his shirt, mixed with something warm and clean underneath. Close enough that my voice wanted to disappear. He lowered his head slightly, eyes holding mine. Of me. My next breath caught. Of you? I whispered. Maybe. The moment stretched, electric, fragile. And I saw it in his eyes, the flicker of something hungry and gentle at the same time. He liked my answer. More than liked it. His gaze softened, warmed, sparked with something I wasn't ready to name. He handed me a helmet. Then come on. My fingers brushed his when I took it, and the contact shot heat straight through my veins. I hated how easily my body reacted to him, how even the smallest touch made everything inside me feel unsettled, trembling, alive. Still. I climbed on. The seat was warm from the sun, smooth beneath my hands. Before I could overthink, he swung his leg over and settled in front of me, close enough that our bodies almost touched. He glanced back, voice low. Hold on. I hesitated. Just a second. But then my hands found his jacket, thick leather, worn at the edges, warm from his skin. When my fingers closed around the fabric, I felt the firm shape of his shoulders beneath it. Muscles shifting as he adjusted his grip on the handlebars. My chest tightened. Like this? I murmured. He chuckled, the sound vibrating through his back. Closer. God. My whole body lit up. I moved in, my arms circling him. And suddenly, I wasn't ready for how intimate it felt, the way my cheek hovered near his shoulder, the way I could feel the rise and fall of his breathing, slow and steady. The way my heart thudded so loud I was sure he could feel it. The engine rumbled to life under us, a deep vibration that traveled through my legs and up my spine. The whole world seemed to pause, like it knew something was changing. Then we shot forward. The wind hit my face, cool and wild, carrying the scent of pine and distant rain. My hair whipped behind me. My pulse raced. Willow Creek blurred into streaks of warm porch lights and quiet streets. And through all of it, I felt him, solid, warm, steady, right there. He didn't speak. I didn't either. We didn't need to. It was the kind of silence that felt too full, too charged, too alive. At one point, the bike leaned into a turn and my body instinctively tightened around him. My hands slid from his jacket to his waist, gripping him without thinking. And I swear, I felt him inhale sharply. Not from fear. From me. Something deep in my chest twisted. I hated how much I loved it. The ride didn't last long, but it felt like a whole lifetime wrapped inside a few minutes. One of those rare moments that you know, right in the middle of it, you're going to replay again and again, long after it's over. When he finally slowed near the house I was staying in, the world felt strangely quiet. He parked the bike and waited, like he didn't want to rush me. Like he knew I wasn't ready to let go. My hand slipped away from him reluctantly, and for a second, I swear the loss of warmth hurt a little. He took off his helmet, shook out his hair, and looked back at me. Not with a smirk this time. Not with teasing. But with something softer. Something dangerously close to real. "Still scared?" he asked gently. I swallowed. Terrified. His smile flickered, small, careful, almost tender. "Good," he murmured. "Means you feel something." And right then, I knew he was right. I felt too much. And that was the part that scared me the most. We got closer, quietly, secretly. Not in a dramatic, whirlwind kind of way, but in that slow, magnetic pull that happens when you keep telling yourself to stop, and your heart keeps ignoring you. It happened in little moments. Late-night talks on the rooftop of his shop, where the whole town looked like a jar of fireflies, tiny glowing windows scattered across the dark. Sometimes Jake would bring an old blanket, toss it onto the warm metal roof, and sit with his knees pulled up, arms resting casually across them. I never told him, but I watched the way the soft moonlight hit the curve of his shoulders, the sharp angle of his jaw, the tiny grease stain he always missed on his forearm. Those nights made me forget I ever hated Willow Creek. Sharing fries at the diner was another thing. We always sat in the last booth, the one with the peeling red leather and the flickering lamp overhead. Jake never ordered for himself, he just stole from my plate, one fry at a time, smirking every time I narrowed my eyes at him. One evening, a single curl of hair fell into my face as I leaned over the table. He reached across without thinking, brushed the leaf tangled in my hair away with the gentlest touch, and murmured, "City girl, you're trouble." And before I could stop myself, I whispered back, "You started it." He laughed in that low, warm way that made my chest tighten. And every time he looked at me, it felt like he was peeling away pieces of the armor I didn't even know I wore. But even in the sweetness, there was always something in him, something restless, something heavy behind his eyes. He had this way of zoning out mid-sentence, staring off at the trees or the road like he was listening to something only he could hear. I noticed it. I felt it. But I didn't ask. Not yet. Because a part of me didn't want to ruin what we had. Then everything cracked open. Jake had a secret. One he never meant for me to find out. He wasn't planning to stay in Willow Creek. He'd been saving money quietly, scraping together every paycheck from the garage, taking odd jobs on weekends, skipping the town gatherings everyone else adored. He wasn't trying to build a life here, he was preparing to leave it. To escape the memories. The whispers. The expectations weighed on him by people who still saw him as the guy who hurt my cousin Lily 2 years ago, even though nobody ever told me what really happened. And the worst part? He didn't tell me. Maybe he thought it wasn't my business. Maybe he thought I'd leave first. Maybe he thought if he didn't say it out loud, it wouldn't hurt as much. But secrets don't stay secrets in small towns. The twist happened fast. Too fast. It was just another quiet evening. The porch lights were warm and soft, moths fluttering lazily around them. I had left my phone on the kitchen table while I made tea. Lily was visiting, sitting at the counter, scrolling through her messages while talking about her day. She was laughing, one of those careless, bubbly sounds she made when she felt safe. Then my phone buzzed. A single message lit up. From Jake. Meet me tonight. I need to tell you something. I wasn't even in the room when she saw it. I only heard the silence. When I stepped back into the kitchen, Lily's face was pale. Her hands were shaking around my phone. The way she looked at me felt like someone had opened the door to a storm. Maya, she whispered, voice cracking. Please don't tell me you're seeing him. My stomach dropped, twisting into something cold and sharp. I opened my mouth, but the words stumbled out tangled. It's not, Lily, I didn't mean. She backed away from me like my presence burned. Maya, not him. Anyone but him. You know what he put me through. I didn't know. Not the full story. Only fragments, pieces Lily had allowed to slip out over the years, her voice breaking, small tears that fell unnoticed when no one was looking, whispers of pain she never explained. She'd carried it like a shadow, and I had never dared touch it. But that night, hearing her again, watching her cheeks wet with tears, hearing the tremor in her voice, I felt it like a weight pressing down on me. Like I'd done something unforgivable. I didn't want to hurt you, I said, my hands moving before I thought. Reaching for her. Wanting to fix something I wasn't sure I could. I swear. I was going to tell you. I didn't know how. She shook her head, shoulders trembling, mascara streaked faintly down her skin. You knew he was the one thing I couldn't handle. And you still. Her voice cracked. The sentence never finished, and somehow that made it worse. The air felt thick, heavy, almost suffocating. Every heartbeat seemed amplified in the quiet night. I could hear my own pulse pounding in my ears, each thump a warning I didn't want to hear. Then the porch boards creaked. I froze, my stomach flipping. I hadn't heard anyone approach, and yet, there he was. Jake. Standing just outside, half hidden in the shadow of the doorway, the dim porch light catching the edges of his hair, the outline of his shoulders. He looked like a sculpture carved out of tension and guilt and fear. I didn't know when he had walked up. I didn't know how long he had been standing there, listening, witnessing. But the instant Lily's words hit him, everything changed. He froze. Like someone had reached inside his chest and squeezed until every piece of him collapsed into itself. His lips parted slightly, eyes wide and unmoving. First came the guilt, thick and raw, as if he'd been caught doing something unforgivable. Then the regret, heavy, slow, curling into the lines of his jaw. And then, something far more vulnerable, more terrifying. Fear. Not the kind that makes you run. Not the kind you can outrun or shake off. This was the kind that held you in place. That made every choice a razor's edge, every move dangerous. The fear that comes from knowing you might destroy everything you love before you even get a chance to save it. His jaw clenched, sharp and tense. His eyes darted between Lily, her tear-streaked, angry, broken face, and me, the raw shock of betrayal mirrored in my own expression. I took a cautious step toward him. Jake. He shook his head, barely. A subtle movement, almost invisible, but enough for me to see it was deliberate. A silent plea, unspoken but desperate, don't come closer. Don't touch me. Don't let anything make this worse. I hesitated, breathing shallow, caught between relief that he hadn't left and the terror of what he'd just heard. Lily scoffed, bitter and sharp. Of course he's here. He always shows up when it's time to ruin something. Her voice had that jagged edge that made my chest ache. The anger, the pain, the accusation, it was all pointed at him. And yet, she didn't know the half of it. Jake shifted slightly, just enough for me to see the tension coiled in every muscle. His hands were in his pockets, but they were tight, knuckles white beneath his skin. The shadow of guilt and fear clung to him like smoke. I could almost hear the weight of it in the space between us. I wanted to step closer, to reach for him, to tell him it wasn't too late. But the fear radiating off him was real. It held me back. And Lily. Lily's heartbreak and fury hung between all three of us, sharp as shattered glass. I swallowed hard. My throat dry. My mind racing with all the things I wanted to say, the apologies, the explanations, the desperate pleas to make this right. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not with the air thick with betrayal, with fear, with the unspoken truth lingering like smoke in the night. Jake's eyes flicked back to mine. Briefly. Just long enough for me to catch the raw, unguarded version of him, the part that was terrified he'd lose us both, and maybe deserved to. And I knew, in that frozen moment, that everything had changed. That nothing could go back to the way it was before. That night, with Lily's words hanging like stones, with the porch under our feet, with the dim light catching the edges of his tense frame, I realized the world had shifted, irrevocably. And none of us would ever be the same again. Jake dropped his gaze to the floorboards. He didn't defend himself. He didn't say a single word in his defense, and that hurt more than anything. Because a part of me knew, he believed he deserved it. The air felt thick. Heavy. Like the whole world had tilted sideways. I didn't know who to go to. Who to protect. Who needed me more. Jake lifted his head just enough for our eyes to meet, and everything inside me sank. Because I saw it. The thing he'd been hiding. Not anger. Not resentment. Not even heartbreak. But the quiet, terrified realization that he was about to lose us both. That night, he didn't show up. He disappeared. For 3 days, the garage stayed closed. For 3 days, I pretended I was fine. For 3 days, I wasn't. Then came the breakdown. The night of the summer festival felt like a dream I'd somehow wandered into without meaning to. Willow Creek had strung lanterns across the riverfront, soft golden lights swaying gently in the evening breeze, casting warm reflections that rippled and shimmered across the dark water. The smell of kettle corn drifted through the air. Kids ran past with glow sticks. Couples danced barefoot in the grass. Laughter rolled from every direction. Everyone was happy. Everyone except me. I stood alone near the riverbank, arms wrapped around myself, staring down at the distorted reflection of lanterns in the water. I could hear the music, the laughter, the light chatter from families around me, but none of it felt real. It all sounded muffled, like someone had placed a glass dome over my head and sealed me inside with my own thoughts. I kept replaying Lily's face. Her voice. The way Jake's eyes had gone hollow when he overheard us. I didn't know if I was more angry or heartbroken. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe I was just tired of choosing, tired of hurting people, tired of pretending I had any idea what the right thing was. The grass crunched behind me. Barely a sound. But enough. I didn't hear him walk up. But I felt him. It's strange how the body recognizes someone before the mind does, how something in your chest tightens, softens, opens all at once. The air around me shifted, like it had been waiting for him. Maya, Jake whispered. I turned slowly. And God, he looked wrecked. His hair was pushed back like he'd run his hands through it 1,000 times. His eyes looked tired, red around the edges, like he hadn't slept. His shoulders, usually straight, confident, solid, seemed weighed down, as though he was carrying more than just the guilt between us. The lantern light reflected off him in the soft, heartbreaking way that made it impossible to hate him, even though a part of me wanted to. He swallowed hard. I shouldn't be here. My throat tightened. Then why are you? He closed his eyes for a moment, long enough for me to see the tension in his jaw, the way he dragged in a breath like he was gathering the strength to break himself open. When he exhaled, it wasn't confident or calm. It was defeated. Because I'm an idiot, he said quietly. Because I thought pushing you away would protect you. And because losing you, his voice cracked, and he looked away, blinking hard. Losing you hurt more than anything I've felt in years. My heart twisted painfully. He didn't sound dramatic. He didn't sound rehearsed. He sounded real, scared, raw, honest in a way he never let himself be. But honesty works both ways, doesn't it? I stepped closer, my voice barely steady. You lied to me, Jake. He didn't flinch. He didn't defend himself. He only nodded once, a slow, painful acknowledgement. You didn't tell me you were leaving, I said. Willingly. Planning it. Saving for it. I didn't tell anyone. Why? I demanded, though my voice wobbled. Jake looked at me then, really looked, and something in his expression softened into something unguarded, vulnerable. Because you made this town feel like something I could stay for, he said. The words didn't hit me like a thunderbolt. They didn't spin the world. They landed quietly, gently, but with enough weight to make my breath hitch. Because I had been waiting for him to choose. To choose me. To choose staying. To choose something that wasn't running. I didn't say anything. Not right away. I just watched him. Jake, standing there under the golden glow of the lanterns that floated above the river, looking like a man who had been fighting shadows for years and was finally too tired to pretend they weren't there. Every line in his face told a story I didn't know how to read, and yet somehow understood. His shoulders slumped just enough to show the weight he carried, and his hands rested in his pockets like a shield, but the faint twitch of his fingers betrayed him. He wanted to reach for me. He wanted to close the distance. But he didn't trust himself to. His eyes darted everywhere, toward the water that reflected the lanterns in ripples, toward the glowing lights that seemed to hold some kind of magic, and then to me. And yet, despite the movement, he didn't settle. He couldn't. It was like he was caught between the desire to step forward and the fear of what that step might destroy. The air between us was thick, charged, almost tangible. Every heartbeat felt like a drum in my chest, echoing through the night, echoing in his hesitation. The festival music floated faintly from the other side of the river, soft and sweet, almost mocking in its normalcy, while we stood here suspended in something raw and unspoken. Maya, he said softly. His voice, low and rough, cut through the quiet. It wasn't just a name. It was a confession. It was fear. It was regret. And somehow, in that single word, I felt every moment we had shared compressed into a fragile, trembling thing that might shatter if I moved too quickly. I should have told you the truth from the beginning, he said, each word deliberate, each pause weighted. I didn't because when you walked into the shop that day, everything in me shifted. And I didn't want to ruin it by telling you I was already planning to disappear. There it was. The truth I had been afraid to hear, and yet secretly needed. I felt something inside me shift. Something softening, like ice melting in the warmth of sunlight. And at the same time, something strengthened, something rigid, steady, growing in the pit of my chest. Because suddenly, I understood him. More than I had in weeks. I understood the fear that had kept him from speaking. The hesitation that had kept him distant. The messy, human need to cling to something good without being certain he deserved it. And yet, as I understood, a part of me was still bruised. Still aching. Still raw from the ways he had held back, from the ways I had imagined him leaving, from the nights I had lain awake wondering what I had done wrong. Still, I couldn't deny the pull. I couldn't deny the truth in his words. I couldn't deny him. My voice, I said, small, quivering, but steady enough to carry, my voice has to be honest, because you made me feel like I wasn't enough to stay for. I saw the flicker across his eyes the instant I said it. Shock. Pain. Regret. And then something else, something almost unbearable. The way his entire body shifted, as though I had struck him with a truth too sharp to bear quietly. And yet, in that moment, he moved closer. Just a step. But it was enough. Enough to break the space between us, enough to close the gap I hadn't realized I had been measuring with every heartbeat. Desperation flickered across his face in a way I hadn't seen before. Not the casual charm or teasing half-smiles. Not the guarded, almost indifferent mechanic persona he sometimes wore. This was raw. This was real. This was a man exposing the tremors beneath his calm surface. "You were the only thing," he whispered, barely audible, voice breaking, "the only thing that made me want to stay. The only thing." I inhaled sharply, breath catching in my throat, chest tightening, feeling the heat rise behind my eyes. My hands, which I hadn't realized were balled at my sides, itched to reach for him. To touch him. To bridge the space that had felt endless between us for weeks, months even. For a moment, I didn't breathe. I couldn't. The lanterns shimmered above us, reflecting on the water like tiny suns, illuminating the gold in his eyes, the subtle tremble of his jaw, the vulnerability that he usually hid behind humor, behind distance, behind the small-town bravado he carried like armor. I wanted to speak. Wanted to say 1,000 things. I forgive you, I need you, I'm scared too, I love you. But the words lodged somewhere between my heart and my throat. I realized that maybe some things didn't need to be said aloud, not yet. Some things only needed to be felt. And I felt him. Every inch of him. The warmth radiating from his body, the slow inhale and exhale, the faint scent of oil and leather and summer air, the tension in his muscles that spoke of a man holding himself together with sheer force of will. I felt the way he was drawn to me, and how much it terrified him. I felt it in the soft tug at the space around my ribs, in the quickening of my pulse, in the breath that caught in my throat. I took a small, cautious step forward. And then another. And suddenly, the river, the festival, the lanterns, it all fell away until it was just him and me, suspended in a moment that seemed to hold forever in its folds. "Jake," I whispered, low and trembling. My voice, though small, carried more than I could have imagined. I understand now. I understand why you didn't tell me. I understand why you ran, why you hesitated, why you were scared. But I also know this: if you stay, stay because you want to. Not because you think you should. Not because of guilt. Not because of obligation. His eyes softened, glistening faintly under the lantern glow. And then he stepped closer again, slow, careful, deliberate. His forehead brushed against mine, light enough to feel like a feather, heavy enough to make my heart skip a beat. "I'm staying," he whispered, breath warm against my skin. "I'm choosing this, choosing you. Not out of guilt, not out of fear, but because I want to. Because I don't want to lose this. Don't want to lose you." And there it was. The confession I had waited for, the truth I hadn't realized I needed. The kind of honesty that ripped through every doubt I had carried all summer. My chest tightened. My hands lifted, brushing the sides of his face, memorizing the angles and warmth and life that was entirely his. And in that heartbeat, I understood, truly understood, that small towns didn't change your life. People did. Choices did. Moments did. And Jake Turner had changed mine forever. I leaned into him, eyes closed, letting the soft lantern glow paint us in gold, letting his presence anchor me to a world that had been spinning too fast, letting his heartbeat match mine, slow and fast and steady all at once. And for the first time, I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel uncertain. I felt exactly where I was supposed to be. With him. And that was enough. The festival kept going behind us, music swelling, people laughing, lanterns drifting, but for a moment, it felt like the world narrowed to just us. Jake and me. The river. The unspoken thing stretching between us like a thin, fragile thread. He stepped even closer, close enough that I could feel the warmth of his breath in the cool night air. "I don't want to lose you, Maya," he said, voice trembling in a way I'd never heard before. Not because of secrets. Not because of fear. Not because of what happened with Lily or what anyone else thinks. I don't want to lose you. And for the first time since the night everything blew up, I didn't feel like I was breaking. I felt like I was choosing. Not him. Not the town. Not Lily. But myself, my truth, my voice, my heart. And that realization settled over me softly, like the glow of the lanterns mirrored in the water. Like strength disguised as light. For the first time all summer, I wasn't scared. Not of Lily finding out. Not of the town judging me. Not of all the ways my heart might crack open if this went wrong. For the first time, everything felt still, like the world had stopped spinning long enough for me to finally breathe. I looked at him, really looked. Jake wasn't the mysterious mechanic with the half-smirk and storm-gray eyes anymore. He wasn't the guy leaning over my engine or the boy from Lily's past. He wasn't the man who held every rumor in town on his shoulders like they weighed nothing. He was just Jake. Human. Flawed. Hopeful. Hurting. Trying. And he was standing in front of me like he didn't know if he deserved forgiveness, but he wanted it anyway. "Jake," my voice trembled, but it wasn't fear this time. It was truth forcing its way out of me. "I don't want you to stay because of me. I want you to stay because you want to." The words felt heavy, but right. They felt like something I should have said weeks ago. Like something I needed to say for myself as much as for him. He froze. Completely still. Hands at his sides. Chest rising and falling like he'd been running. Silence stretched between us, warm and electric. The lanterns swayed softly above our heads. The river whispered against the rocks. Children's laughter echoed faintly from the festival behind us. But none of it touched me. Not the music. Not the noise. Not the lights. All I felt was him. His presence. His eyes. The way everything inside him seemed to soften when he looked at me. Then he stepped closer. Slow. Careful. Like I was something fragile. Or maybe like he was the fragile one, and coming closer took everything he had left. "Maya," he whispered, and my name sounded different in his voice, rougher, deeper, almost reverent. "I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you." My breath stuttered. My ribs tightened around my lungs. My heartbeat surged so fast it almost hurt. Because I believed him. Not blindly. Not foolishly. Not like a girl desperate to be loved. But like someone who had finally grown enough to recognize real vulnerability when she saw it. And his vulnerability was right there, in the shakiness of his voice, the rawness in his eyes, the way he didn't try to hide anything anymore. No walls. No distance. No running. Just honesty. He lifted a hand, hesitating for a split second, not because he doubted me, but because he was giving me space to pull away if I wanted to. I didn't. So his palm found the side of my face, warm and gentle, a touch that felt like an apology and a promise all at once. Then he leaned in until his forehead pressed against mine.